Well, hello and welcome. I'm Miss Heard with Miss Heard Song Lyrics Podcast. We're in Season 5, Episode 247, and we're doing Europe's The Final Countdown. The Miss Heard song lyric is, "The final downtown," and the correct lyrics is, "The final countdown." Countdown, downtown, pretty close. And, I wanted to do this song because I love it, by the way. It reminds me of roller skating back in my teens, and later in life, it usually is played right before midnight at an 80s music video dance party I always attend every year for Halloween. So it has great memories year after year. Okay, let's learn about who the band is and everything we need to know about The Final Countdown. Okay, so The Final Countdown is a song by Swedish rock band Europe. It was released in 1986. And written by lead singer Joey Tempest. I love that name. It was based on a supposed keyboard riff he made in the early 1980s and with lyrics inspired by a very famous artist. We'll go into that in a bit. It was to be just a concert opener, and it is the first single and title track for the band's third studio album. And I didn't realize this, but the song Pictures from 2017 album Walk the Earth is actually a sequel to The Final Countdown, so I need to listen to that song. Who is Europe? I love that their name is Europe. It's a Swedish rock band. They were formed in Upplands Väsby in 1979 by lead vocalist Joey Tempest, guitarist John Norum, bassist Peter Olsson, and drummer Tony Reno. And of course, they obtained a major breakthrough in Sweden in 1982 by winning the televised competition, so it must be like American Idol back in the day, called Rock SM, or SM, Swedish Rock Championships. It was the first time this competition was held, and Europe became a larger success than the competition itself. Since their formation, they released 11 studio albums, 3 live albums, 3 compilations, and 24 music videos. I did not know that. And then Europe's current lineup consists of Tempest, still Norum, bassist John Levine, keyboardist Mick Michaely, and drummer Ian Hovland. And they rose into fame in the 80s with their third album, 1986, The Final Countdown, the song we're talking about. And as of 2003, they have sold about 10 million albums worldwide. The band has 2 top 20 albums on the Billboard 200 chart, The Final Countdown and Out of This World, and 3 top 30 singles on the Billboard Hot chart, and 3 top 30 singles on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, with The Final Countdown, Rock the Night, and Carrie, which reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. Then they went into hiatus back in 1992 and then reunited temporarily for one-off performance in Stockholm on New Year's Eve 1999 and announced an official reunion back in 2003, so 21 years ago. Since then, the band has released 6 albums, one called Start from the Dark 2004, Secret Society 2006, 2009's Last Look of Eden, 2012 Bag of Bones, 2015 War of Kings, and 2017 Walk the Earth, which I said earlier has the song Pictures, which is a sequel to The Final Countdown. They gained their attention again in the U.S. after being featured in a Geico cable television commercial campaign during 2015 and 2016. And one of their main influences they shared is Whitesnake, Deep Purple, Rainbow, Led Zeppelin, Tin Lizzy, UFO, and Michael Schenker Group. That's a quite array of different influences. In the beginning, lead singer Joey Tempest formed the band Force with guitarist John Norum, bassist Peter Olsson, and drummer Tony Reno. Force immediately began building a reputation and a fan base in the suburbs of Stockholm. Then in 1982, they changed their name to Europe and won, like I said earlier, the music competition called Rock SM. The first prize was a record deal with Hot Records, and with Tempest as the frontman, Europe released its self-titled debut studio album in 1983 and Wings of Tomorrow in 1984. During his years with Europe, Tempest wrote numerous international hits. The Final Countdown was the biggest. It topped the sales chart in 26 countries, sold 15 million copies, was played at the closing ceremony of the 1987 Eurobasket and 1988 Summer Olympics, became the musical theme of the Millennium celebrations, and a ringtone in hundreds and thousands of mobile phones across the world. And like I said, I remember I always hear it every year at the fun 80s video dance attack party that we have here in the Northwest in Portland, Oregon, which is the northwestern side of the United States. For those listening outside of the United States, every Halloween it's played right before midnight. And then it says here that they did several studio albums, which I shared earlier. They actually did their final concert back in March of 1992. And then in Europe ended their final tour in Portsmouth and did not perform together until New Year's Eve 1999 to 2000, which makes sense with the final countdown. So let's talk about Joey Tempest. Is that really his name? Probably not. Joey Tempest was born Rolf Magnus Joachim Larsson. Now that sounds like a Swedish name. Back on August 19, 1963. He is professionally known as Joey Tempest. He is, of course, the Swedish lead singer in the lead vocalist of the rock band Europe. He has written most of the band's biggest hits, like I said earlier, The Final Countdown, Rock the Night, Cherokee and Carrie. He was born in Stockholm, Sweden, back on August 19, 1963, like I said. When he was 8 years old, actually, it was told he would sit in front of the television or radio with a tape recorder and try to capture songs from the UK and US that he liked and listen to them over and over again. That probably helped his kind of own education of what pop songs, why are they popular, and what do they sound like. He learned how to play the piano, and a friend of his father taught him 3 chords, the A, D, and E chord, on his sister's acoustic guitar. He actually also was pretty sports enthusiast. He played football and ice hockey and competed in go-kart racing. He once came forth in the junior kart race, a Swedish championship. So he's pretty physical as well. Like many of the other Europe members, Larsson grew up in Stockholm suburbs called Upplands Väsby. His biggest influence was Tin Lizzy and Led Zeppelin. And during his teens, he played in a number of bands. They were called Jet, Blazer, Made in Hong Kong, and Roxanne. And at that time, he would move around between playing rhythm, guitar, and bass in addition to lead vocals, which is amazing because he has amazing vocals. With Europe, Larsson started performing in 1979, creating the stage name as Joey Tempest, and you know where he got it from? It's inspired by a William Shakespeare tragicomedy called The Tempest, as well as the song Sparks of the Tempest by American progressive rock band Kansas, obviously Kansas. So that's when it became Joey Tempest. So back to the song, how did it come to be? You know, it's an idea, it's something from somewhere, and in this case, the song was based on a keyboard riff which Joey Tempest had written back in 81, maybe 82, with, for some of you keyboard nerds, a Korg Paul 6 keyboard, which he had borrowed from keyboardist Mike McKelly. In 1995, bassist John Levine suggested to Tempest, you should write a song based on that riff. Right? The famous riff. Tempest recorded a demo version of the song and played it for other band members. Now, the reaction was mixed. I included guitarist John Norm, who was put off by the synth intro, but later said he was glad they didn't listen to him. Because I think, with a lot, when you hear a synthesizer, like, does that really go with a rock band? Well, it does. Tempest described their uncertainty. Quote unquote, he said, some of the guys in the band thought it was too different for a rock band. But in the end, I fought hard to make sure it got used. Good for him. And here's the big did you know. The song lyrics were inspired by David Bowie's song, Space Oddity. So that's where the lyrics were inspired. And again, let me add more to the keyboard nerds. The sound of the keyboard riff used in the recording was achieved by using a Yamaha TX816 rack unit and Roland JX 8-piece synthesizer as described by McKelly. Quote unquote, I made a brassy sound from the JX 8P and used a factory sound from the Yamaha and just layer them together, and that's when you got gold. When it was time to choose the first single from the album, called The Final Countdown, Tempest suggested the song, The Final Countdown. The band had not originally planned to release the song as a single, and some members wanted the song Rock the Night to be the first single. The Final Countdown was written to be an opening song for concerts, and they never thought it would be a hit. And that's usually how these hits happen. It's like no one expected. When their record company, Epic Records, suggested, however, that it should be the first single, the band decided to release it. I'm glad they listened. Here's what Tempest said, back in 2005. Quote unquote, it's always a nice feeling. Sometimes you hear it on the streets or someone has it on their mobile phone or something. It's a nice feeling. Actually, I did an interview about a year ago with a newspaper from America, and they talked about how much it's been used in sports in America, which I didn't know so much. Apparently, it's been used a lot, and it was 6 minutes long. Okay, apparently it's been used a lot, and it was nice to hear. The ironic thing, though, it's that the song was actually written for the fans. It was over 6 minutes long and was never meant to be a hit or anything like that. It was meant to be an opening for the live show. We were putting out our 3rd album, and we wanted a really grand opening for the show. So I had that riff tucked away in a drawer since my college years. I took it out, found a tempo for it, wrote lyrics, and it turned out to be a great opening for that album and for the show as well. Nowadays, we don't rehearse it, but when we play it live, it's still so amazing. It does communicate so well with the audience, and we're really loving playing it. I love that. And then in 2009, Tempest told the BBC's Liam Allen, quote unquote, I can trace bands like UFO in it, sort of galloping theme like Iron Maiden had on the Number of the Beast album on quite a few songs. I wanted to make a combination of guitars and keyboards. That was a statement on that, and it sort of worked out nicely. At all, like I said, it was all happened based on a riff he had in his college years. David Bowie's Space Oddity was the kind of precursor of how the lyrics were made. And they all thought it's just going to be a great opener. It ended up being a big hit for them. What was the reaction? Well, here you go. It became an instant success on the charts worldwide upon its release, reaching number 1 in 25 countries, including the UK, where it spent 2 weeks at the top, and is Europe's only top 10 hit to date, and is widely regarded as the band's most popular and recognizable song. Absolutely. How did it do in the US? Well, it reached number 8 on the US Billboard Hot 100 chart, and is the most successful song from the album on the Album Rock Tracks chart, peaking at number 18 and charting for 20 weeks, so roughly about 5 months. And the funny thing is, good and bad, Blender listed the Final Countdown as the 27th worst song ever, and both VH1 and Blender included it at number 16 on the list of the most awesomely bad songs ever. VH1 ranked it number 66 on the list of the best hard rock songs of all time. I think it's perfect for the 80s. How is the music video? So if you haven't seen it, it's pretty much them, I think, on tour somewhere, but what's amazing is it was uploaded in YouTube back on October 25th, 2009. I'm doing this podcast today, May 2024. We're at a whopping 1.2 billion. That's with the B views and counting. So people love it. They love it so much it's hit the billion mark. And it was directed by Nick Morris. Like I said, it contains footage from 2 concerts the band did. One of the concerts was at, I'm going to say this, Solna, Holland and Solna, Sweden, on May 26 and 27, 1986, as well as some extra footage filmed at the soundcheck for those concerts. So that's where that footage is from. And the beautiful hair. Check it out. You got to have the big Aquanet 80s hair, and they just live it. So fun music video. It's not about the final downtown. It's the Final Countdown. Great song that started out as just an opening song for them to come into their concert with a cool opening number, and it ended up being one of their biggest hits. If you have a great suggestion like this misheard song lyric, always send it to our social media sites like Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, or you can just send us an email at misheard, that's MISSHEARD songs @gmail.com. Till then, keep singing those songs wrong. Bye.